Welcome, everyone, to the Motherhood on Balance Summit. I am your hostess, Mara Watts, and joining me is the amazing and beautiful and talented Christine Parma. Welcome.
Hi, thanks so much, Mara. I am so thrilled to be part of this summit. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining me. And I would like to share your bio, and then I'll just hand it over to you to
Okay.
explain a little bit more. So, Christine Parma helps busy mama CEOs build profitable, soul fulfilling businesses without working 24/7 or sacrificing what matters most to them. Awesome, right? She's on a mission to free ambitious mompreneurs from overwhelm and guilt by showing them how to create the time and systems they need to make their dreams happen while still being an amazing mom, too. Drawing on her experience of working behind the scenes, creating, launching, and managing over $3 million of live and online signature programs for Harv Eker, plus the many lessons learned from launching her own brand with two young kids at home, Christine beautifully marries both practical businesses, strategies, and spiritual principles to help her clients build thriving businesses and joyful lives that allow them to do more of what matters most to them. And I love that because that's what we all need, right?
Well, that's the whole reason for, I think, starting your
Yeah.
business.
Hmm.
It's, when I asked, and I asked because I really wanted to hear it from other mompreneurs, from other mama CEOs. I was really thinking about this. Like, what possesses a mom, especially if she already has the craziness of kids,
Yeah.
to think, oh, I'm not busy enough. Why don't I just go out and start a business? Yeah, sure. I have like all the time in the world.
Yeah.
So I was asking these moms, what's the reason for wanting to start your business, especially if you already have kids at home and you're kind of
And
in the
life is
middle of
crazy
motherhood craziness,
already.
right?
Right.
So I asked them, and I said, what is it that drives you? Um, Turning my volume down here. Um, they said things like, I want to make a creative contribution to the world. I have this creativity and this gift I feel like I need to share, and a contribution I need to make, and it's like I can't not do it. I'm
Yeah.
feeling driven to do it. I'm feeling pulled to do it. Or if you were in business or in a job before kids, and then you had kids, at least for me in that transition, I felt like I lost a huge part of myself. And so
Mm.
I think part of starting a business is the need to reclaim yourself, your dreams, who you are, kind of redefine it in the context of also being a mom. And, being a mom, you love your kids, you want to be there for your family. So starting your own business kind of promises, or at least puts out there the possibility of having more flexibility to be with your family, to be home, when the kids get home from school, and also, possibly to earn more money than you did in your
Yeah.
previous job. So, women came out with a lot of their big whys for creating their business. For me, I did what a lot of moms do at the beginning. And once I transitioned from working for Harv Eker into motherhood, and I kind of went through this depression. I mean, I had postpartum depression. There's
Mm.
a lot of story there about
Yeah.
a very not easy birth with my son, my first son. But really, I started feeling that need to do something and define myself outside of being a mom. I did the whole making the organic baby food, doing the jamboree classes, being the full-time mom, and giving it my all. And it just wasn't enough. I
Mm.
still didn't feel fulfilled, and I didn't feel happy. So for me, I did what a lot of moms do, and I kind of grasped onto whatever was around me. And for me, that turned into volunteer work,
Oh,
heavy
cool.
volunteer work.
Okay.
So I ended up running for the Junior League of Portland. I ended up creating and like reinvigorating and running their main fundraiser for 2 years. And that was probably more hours than I would spend building my own business. And after 2 years, I'm like, I'm done with that. That's like, I did that. Okay. And then I went on to, well, like, what else can I do? And of course, I'm immersed in baby stuff. So what do I do?
Sure.
I'm
Why
like,
not?
oh, I'm going to do something related to like babies and kids, because why not? And so I was inventing a new baby bib.
Oh, I did not know that about
not
you.
in the world. Why not?
Okay.
Now, it really is really good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, it's like I kind of piddled with that for years. And I think that's a sign when you're not really in alignment with what your true calling is and what you're really passionate about, is you kind of piddle. You do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It was something to keep me busy and keep my mind active, and like that creativity, that creative output I needed wasn't it. And it really took going to a conference where I was like, oh, I'm going to this business conference and I'm going to talk about my baby bib. And I talk about my baby bib, and then somebody would say something and I'd be like, oh, you want to create your signature program? Oh, you do this and this. And oh, when I was running these high-end retreats, we did this. And this is how I managed it. And this is how I found the time. And I ran 4 different programs and blah, blah. And I was all excited. And people looked at me and they're like, honey, why aren't you doing that?
Forget the bib.
Yeah, forget the baby bib. Like, why are you messing around with this baby bib thing?
Yeah.
Why don't you do that? And sometimes it takes that outside feedback from people, that outside perspective. And when people said that to me, I was like, oh, why am I not doing that again? It just, and then I had to go through this whole transition of stepping out from being the behind the scenes person who made everything run and miraculously work and everything, to feeling like I had my own value to add. Like I was super duper confident in promoting somebody else's brilliance, somebody else's work, because Harv was the star, and sure, he's an expert and, had all the numbers to prove it. But what about me? Like, what do I really have to share? What do I really have to say? So I had to go through that transition. And I think regardless if we're previously in corporate life, you're supporting a company, and not being, maybe you're a star in the company, but not like your own brand. It's a transition for moms who are wanting to start their own businesses, and create the time, the freedom that can come along with owning your own business, so that they can make their success on their terms. So, one of the number one biggest struggle that moms told me that they were having, and I agree, is time. And yes. They said, what is your biggest challenge? I said, time. I don't have enough of it. I don't have enough time to work on my business. I can't find any time in my day to work my business. Time flies by for the few hours that I worked, and I look at what I've done, and it's like somehow nothing, or almost nothing, or it feels like nothing, and it's all about time. So what I've really, started to put together is programs and ways of helping moms and supporting mama CEOs so that they can create the time in their day. They can find that time. And then the other piece is, when you feel like you haven't spent enough time on your business and you haven't spent enough time with your kids, what happens? You beat yourself up for both, right? You feel like a failure at both. You're like, I'm not a good, a successful entrepreneur as much as I want to be a success. And oh my gosh, I didn't spend enough time with my kids, and I'm a horrible mom too. And I, fell into that for a while, and I was working my butt off, my business, and just nose to the grindstone and trying to I'm just going to make it work, and trying to beat it through, because I'm a very persistent person, and I'm very ambitious, and I'm also very stubborn. Can be very stubborn. So, and, one day I was creating my first signature program called Profit Now with Premium Programs. And I'd promised my husband, I said, I'm going to finish this by this date, because it was really a push phase. And I think push phases are fine because you can make it through a phase of pushing,
like 90-day sprint.
Pushing.
Well, yeah,
90-day sprint, or really you break it down, and one of the trainings I did at the beginning of the year was to break your big goals down and make them totally doable, and really doing 2-week sprints. But in the context of the big vision, I'm like, I have to finish this program, because I also had clients in it, and I pre-sold it, and this is kind of another conversation. So I'm kind of like, staying ahead of the curve here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd promised my husband I'd be done. And I'm sitting at my computer. It was a Saturday. And this was last, like probably January of 2016. And I had snowed in Portland. And I was like, I have to get this done. Like, for my sanity, I have to get this done.
Right.
Birth this baby. Get this idea out of me, right?
We all know how that goes.
My third child, right? My third
Right.
child birthing this program. And I look out the window and I'm watching my husband and my two boys sledding in our yard and playing with the neighbors. And they're having so much fun in the snow. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I hate this.
Really?
This sucks.
Oh,
I had lost the balance. I had lost perspective I'd gone too much the other way of needing to kind of nose to the grindstone and beat this business. And, I'm going to beat all the challenges into the ground so I'll be successful and I can prove myself that I'm a success. And I lost some of the balance part, the other side of, part of the beauty of being in business for yourself is that you can say, you know what, this can wait because there are more important things going on here, and go out, join your kids in the snow and play and have fun.
Did you get up and did you just go sled?
I did not.
No?
No. I wish there was a story, that, and this was this was a really big piece for me. This was a really big learning because I was so close to the finish line. So it was that conundrum of, do I just push through and get through the finish line? Not because a lot of people give up like inches from the finish line. Like, the saying says, you're almost there. And when it gets really hard and painful, you have to make tough decisions and sometimes look out your window and be like, stab in the heart. I feel like the worst mom ever. And really, my kids were having fun. I don't think they were really missing me probably, but I was missing the fun. Yeah. And that really hurt. That really hurt me. Mm-hmm. So I finished. I was like, I'm finishing. And then, in the hindsight, I'm like, that is not the way I'm going to do my business again. Because it's too out of whack. And I feel like a lot of moms either get caught up in, and it can doesn't have to be either or, it can be all of these sometimes, get caught up in feeling overwhelmed with all of the things they feel like they have to be doing to be a successful, entrepreneur and be an amazing mom. Like, okay, I'm still going to make the organic baby food and keep cook the homemade treats, and I'm starting my business and everything. And it really comes down to, you find sanity when you start getting really clear on what's truly important to you and letting go of some of the beliefs you may hold around either being a success and being successful or being a great mom. Because I think we, as mompreneurs, hold ourselves up to this sometimes impossibly high standard in both categories. And I came across a quote not so long ago that perfectly encapsulated what I was feeling. And I can't remember who it's by right now, but it basically said, women business owners are expected to run their businesses as if they had no kids. Yeah. And they're expected to raise their kids as if they had no business.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, okay, we got to be up here as the business owner and way up here as the mom too. And it's impossible. It's really like an impossible level of expectation that we hold for ourselves. And then we beat ourselves up when we fall short of that, or we think we're falling short of it, or we feel like we should be further ahead, or, oh my gosh, we should have made the homemade cookies, or, the kids' birthday party at school, but instead we bought the store-bought ones, stuff like that.
Yeah,
like the dumb stuff. Right. You beat yourself up for buying the store-bought cookies, don't you?
Oh, I do.
Because you're not Martha Stewart, stewarding and making all the homemade decorations and all that. Just crazy making.
Yeah.
So, I want to bring some sanity to the process of launching your business or being in business, having your own business and building it, and being a mom. And this is, this is the journey that I have taken, that I'm still taking, and tweaking. And I've basically, one of my turning points actually came in a huge fight with my husband. And it was probably the second biggest fight we've ever had. And this is a huge deal because we never fight. We literally, we'll like, sometimes at each other if we just have a disagreement, but we don't really fight. And it was literally over pancakes. It was the pancake that broke the camel's back for me. I mean, really. And so, one Saturday morning, I'm like in the kitchen and I'm like thinking about all these things I have to do. I'm in the kitchen making pancakes, and I can hear my husband in what we call the playroom with my boys, and he's chatting on the phone with his mom, like forever. And I'm like making pancakes and making bacon and doing all this stuff. And I'm just like, feeling like underappreciated, right? And my kids are in that we don't like mommy phase. We love daddy, that phase. It's so nice that we don't appreciate mom. So it was all of that, and it just kind of snowballed. And I just lost it. I went like molten crazy all over my husband. And afterwards I was like, whoa, what was that about? And out of that, the fight was really, that explosion was like stuff I had been pushing down. It was really a blessing because it brought to the surface so many things that I really wasn't aware that I had been pushing down. Like how I felt about sacrificing work I absolutely loved to have my first son. I loved working for Harv Eker. I loved doing that work. And I, quit on my due date. And I've poured myself 100% into motherhood. And there was resentment there. There's also the postpartum depression and a lot of other complications that happen in the colic and, things like that. But I, and then I felt horrible for being resentful of being a mom. There was times, and this is like the ugly truth, that I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I can't, I left this life and this work that I loved, and now I have a colicky screaming child, and I just want to drive to Canada and not come back. Just like those moments, when I'm just so exhausted, my eyeballs feel like they fall out. And that I've been I think carrying that. And then we recently moved to Vietnam, crazy. So I'm like I've launched my business. I'm going and blowing in my business and off to the races. And then my husband gets an expat offer.
Time to go. Right.
And this was mid last year. And I'm like, okay. And I knew it was the right thing for our family. Like intuitively, I knew that. But, there was a part of me that I was like, it's all about him. It's always all about him, right? It's always about, because he's, the main breadwinner and he's the one with the corporate career, whatever, that it's always about him. And it was like all this feeling of sacrifice and resentment that had been kind of festering unknown to me under the surface. It just exploded over pancakes while I was making pancakes one day.
Pancake that broke the camel's back.
It was the pancake that broke the camel's back. And I think moms have the tendency to push down what they feel like they shouldn't be feeling, because we're like, there's a part of us that believes, well, we need to sacrifice, for our family and our children. When we decided to have kids, we gave up on our dreams, there's that kind of societal belief also. And there's kind of a looking down the nose, I think, a bit at moms who aspire to be more than just moms. I'm not beating up moms who are full-time moms, because it's all about choice, right? It's all about feeling
every
fulfilled.
mama gets to choose.
Yeah, every mama gets to choose. Yeah. It's about feeling happy. And for some people, it's enough. And that's awesome, because what better thing can you, one of the best things you can do in the world is raise a healthy, happy, well-intentioned, beautiful person and put that into the world, and then at the same time, for me, I was like, I want to do that. And I also have this business baby to
that you put in.
raising birth into the world, my creativity and my contribution that I feel like I'm here to make.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, one of the things that really brought me some clarity and some sanity to this, you know, this push pull all the time was getting really honest with myself about why I was pushing myself so hard in both categories, business and motherhood, you know, like this need to be a huge success. And for me, it came down to, I was like, oh my gosh, this has not like been recent. This like goes way back to like junior high, you know, like,
Oh, wow.
you know, even earlier than that, but it was about proving my worth as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, has that been what I've been doing? I'm like trying to constantly prove that I'm good enough, you know, at like a subconscious level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes that can be part of it.
Yeah.
There's the, you know, the kind of the measure up to others, compare and despair that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a measure up to maybe some childhood preconceived notion about what success you have to do to be successful, how much money you have to make, what it has to look like, or what it looks like to be the perfect mom. You know, I mean, some people may have had mothers who were like, you know, Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
You know,
My mom was like that. She was at home. She was doing, you know, cooking for us. And my dad actually died when I was 4. And then she had to throw herself back into work. And so I'm sure that she felt that, that mom guilt there, you know. But
but also it could be that when you're raised like with a mom like that, or whatever, you know, your vision of what, you know, the quote perfect mom is, that you're like, oh my gosh, if you're not doing that for your children, you're like, oh, I'm not as good a mom as my mom was to me.
Yeah, I really think that we need to take a step back from what society has placed the stamp on being a perfect mom, you know, because and it's weird how society comes into play. It's like, this is the perfect mom, but no one fits in that. Like no one. I don't know anyone that fits into this box. Like if you really think of what society defines as the perfect mom, it's like, you know, the mom who's got either a full-time job, or she owns her own business, or she is a full stay-at-home mom, but she also is like getting the laundry done and doing the dishes and scrubbing the floors, and her kids
looks
are polished,
perfect all the time.
Looks perfect all the time. And I'm like, girl, look at this hair.
And works out an hour every day, you know, and whatever, makes the crafts for the school, you know, that sort of thing.
Right. It's an impossible box. No one fits in that box. So I think that we each, like you said, and you said it so wonderfully, we each need to take our own version of what the perfect mom is and be that for ourselves, because there's no other way that you just can't be this.
Well,
I can't be that. You can't. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, you know, if you're going about the business of getting your heart work out into the world, you know, by launching and building your own business, you know, you've got to get a little real with yourself, that you can't, maybe all the things you were doing before you had your business, you're not going to be able to do now. And you don't have to beat yourself up for not doing those things. You know, clarity, and I think in freedom from overwhelm and the guilt comes when you're really clear on what it is that's important to you. And then you make decisions that are in alignment with those values. And you create, like from a practical standpoint, because you asked for me to share some, you know, practical tips with mompreneurs who, you know, have their businesses, is making sure your schedule is in alignment with your values. Like, just because somebody asks you to do something doesn't mean you have to do it.
Yes.
You don't be all things to all people. It's okay to say no. So, and it's okay. You say, oh my gosh, I feel so honored that you asked, you know, let me get back to you about that. So you don't have to say yes or no on the spot. And you can say, and then if you want to say no, you know, it's better to say no in like a definite no with like grace, and, you know, respect to the other person, than to commit to something and go crazy trying to get it done, or you don't do it, you've committed to it and you don't do it, you don't follow through, then I think that's a worse scenario for everybody involved there. So, from a time perspective, the crunch of time that mompreneurs say they have, and they do have, it's about making decisions. And then when you've made, cut out the extra, let's call it, from your schedule, then your to-do list gets a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And then from a business building perspective, there are certain strategies of making sure you prioritize in the family things that you want, and then prioritizing the business activities that are going to move your business forward quickly, in which you actually feel, hopefully happy and joyful about doing, because that's a lot of it. If you're not enjoying doing something, you're going to procrastinate about it.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to put it off, or you're not going to be consistent about it over time.
I've actually gone through that myself.
Yeah, and I took a group of people earlier this year through this process of, envisioning what they want for their business, what goals they want to achieve, and really chunking that down to very specific, tangible, doable steps. And then you can break it down, even more into, okay, what am I doing on particular days? Like, I'm not the person who, and God bless you if you are this person, that you can the Pomodoro technique, where you can set the timer for 15 minutes, and you do a task for 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Now. And you plan out your day to 15-minute intervals.
Oh.
And I have a coach. I love her. She swears by that method. I'm like, can't do it. Totally does not work for me. It's outside the box. I don't like it. So I'm not going to be consistent at it. Right. So I've had to come up with a system that works for me and to move myself forward. And then part of it too is being forgiving of yourself. Like you said, you're dealing with the flu. I've been sick for 4 weeks. And then my first son has been sick for 2 weeks with an undiagnosed illness and out of school. And we just got a diagnosis yesterday after I spent 5 hours at the doctor's office. And, my second son now is getting sick too. This happens, right? We're moms and we're business owners. But if you had to choose between your child and your business, you're going to choose your child. And
we hope.
Yeah. And so it's, all these things that I had planned to get done during this week didn't get done. They didn't all get done. And I'm like, you know what? The world's not going to end. I didn't get a blog post out last week. Oh, well, it happens that way. So you have to also be forgiving of yourself when life doesn't go according to plan, because let's be honest, most of the time life doesn't go according to plan, right?
It does not, no.
You make the plans. It's like the saying says, God laughs in your face, basically, haha, your plans. But along with that, I think, there are blessings in things sometimes not going according to plan, because this whole expat move for me, there was a part of me that was really, I was delusional first. I thought, we're going to pack up the house. I'm going to move, because I'm like project manager woman here. Yeah. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to be here. 2 weeks, I'm going to back up and running. I'm going to be on my laptop while we're waiting for all the stuff to come on the container ship. Bam, bam, bam. Push, push, push. And it did not at all happen that way. Not at all. And it really, looking in hindsight, I'm like, I get the message here. This was like a reset button for me, in a way with my business, hello, get some perspective, hon.
Yeah.
It doesn't and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I learned that at the beginning of the year. I just had to relearn it again. Right. Because I was getting too much push again. And it wasn't feeling good, and if your business in your life doesn't feel good to you, especially your business, why did you start your business? That is a question, actually. A very sincere question. Why did you start your business? You really need to be clear on your big why for starting your business. And I'll tell you, feeling junky about myself and beating myself up all the time and putting my nose to the grindstone and working 24/7, that is not why I started my business. That is not at all.
Right.
I started my business because I there was something inside of me, I feel like compelled to do it. But I love working with people to help them get their own brilliance out into the world and to overcome these little, could be these little hurdles. I don't want to call them challenges, but hurdles to getting your own unique contribution out into the world and connecting and finding the people that you're meant to serve in this lifetime. So I really think it is that way.
Yeah.
So then it's just, it's like, I'm like, oh, I just have to kind of get a reminder of this not pushing and I'm like, all right, yep, right, got it, know what to do, the systems, the time management and the forgiveness piece, So for me, there's also some, I don't know if I want to say extra challenges or things that go along with being an expat. Moving internationally with a family to a communist country was a lot, it was different than I thought it would go.
Sure.
So I, quote, lost a lot of time there and all these things that I had scheduled it didn't happen. Most of them didn't happen. And, at the end of the day, I'm like, well, you know what? That's how things went. So how am I what choice am I going to make now? I can either beat myself up and get lost in that energy and that time drain, or I can make a new decision and move forward. And that's what I'm doing. A lot of it is about, when you're a mompreneur, it's about choices. It's about decisions. It's about prioritizing not only your values, but, the things that are priority for your family and also the things that are priority in your business. I kind of think of myself as like kind of woo and spiritual, but with practical application. And so I like on my live streams that I do twice a week, I talk about the mindset and kind of the spiritual pieces and also the very practical business strategies. And from a practical business standpoint, a lot of women are spending time on activities that truly do not build their business.
Right.
The wearing 100 hats as a mom can sometimes show up in wearing 100 hats as a business owner. You're like, oh, well, I would need to be on social media. So I'm going to be on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
Right.
And
it's everywhere.
And Pinterest. And I got to do them all. I got to do them all right now. And I got to post 50 times a day just for social media. Oh, and I got to do speaking events and telesummits and podcasts. And I'm going to start my own podcast and do a telesummit and it's like crazy making. And what ends up is you have like you end up with like a half-baked cookies. A whole tray of half-baked cookies that not too much. Because you're like, oh, none of this got fully baked and fully implemented in my business. So it's, a lot of it is the consistency. I help mompreneurs really get very clear on how to spend their time, the decisions, help them make their because it's their personal decisions. I can give you my opinion, but I can't tell you what's right for you, as a mom or, in your business. I'm not the final say. I'm a perspective, and I'm a mirror for reflecting things back to you that I maybe see people doing that aren't that helpful for growing their businesses, or they're making themselves crazy in general. And then also about, it's like once you are clear on what you're doing in your business, kind of your mission and your vision for your business and your time structure, then communicating the value of what you do and the work you do in a way that really connects deeply with your dream clients. So that it makes it very easy for them to say yes to you. Because that's another place where people, not just mompreneurs, all entrepreneurs can get tripped up, as people say, well, how do you help? What do you do? The question, well, what do you do? The networking question. And people are like, well, I kind of do this, and I kind of do
that question. It was like, what do I do? And I really had to get clear on that. And then once I got clear, it was easy. It's easy to
Yeah.
say, my name is Mara and I help moms overcome X, Y, and Z, or I help moms do this, this, and this, and then that became
Yeah.
a lot easier versus being like, well, I post on social media and I blog and I do this and I do this. And it's like, what do
Yeah.
you do? What do you really do?
Right. What do you
Right.
help people with? And then making sure that you're
Right.
communicating your
Mm-hmm.
offer in a way that is like, your dream clients are going to be like, oh my gosh, how did you know
I
exactly what
need that.
I'm struggling
Right.
with? How did she read my mind?
Right.
Because we can get lost in, this is all entrepreneurs, especially coaches. I say
Yeah.
coaches, that's coaching people, because we're so used to talking about empowerment and inspiration and helping people in a certain way that we use that language, and that's not the language our clients use, or the clients that we
True.
can serve best. So
Mm-hmm.
helping people really get really clear on that,
Mm-hmm.
and then packaging up. Once you're clear on those pieces, then you start to work in, well, how can I get a little more time leverage? How can I get a little more effort leverage?
Right.
And that's where like signature programs come in, because
Mm-hmm.
it's really, a signature program is a systemizing of the transformation that you help people get, the systemizing of how you help your clients get from point A to point B.
Right.
And once you have that system, not only is it easier for you to serve people from a time perspective, because you're not always reinventing the wheel, you've got a lot of confidence in how you can help people, because oh, that's right, I do with this, 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 this.
Right.
There's a whole system for how you come up with the steps. And then also you've got pricing power there, because you have a system that helps people. So you can actually create a bigger income for yourself with less effort, less personal time investment. So you have more time left over for the little ones,
Yeah.
for the
Which is a
husband, for your
goal, right?
kids, for the
Mm-hmm.
things you want to do, vacations, the things that make you feel joyful also, so that you don't get so out of balance one way or the other.
Exactly. Going back to that word, balance.
Yes, back to the balance. And it's balance. I almost hate to use that word
I know.
balance, because it's like it almost sounds like it has to be 50-50.
Right.
Like balance means 50% business, 50% family. And that's not true. Like I don't see that as true. I see finding what works for you in your family and what feels good in your heart and gives you joy. That's balance.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
if the
Oh, yeah.
world were full of people who actually felt fulfilled and happy, like how different would the world be?
Oh, so different.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
So balance is about finding that place that's joyful and feels good for you. And you're like, I'm rocking it as a mama, and I'm rocking it as a mama CEO too,
Right.
according to my own terms, not living up to somebody else's standards or some compare and despair kind of vision, comparison thing I have going on. But it feels good for me.
Yeah. Oh, I
Right?
like that. I love that. I want to take that in, right
Take it
now.
in.
Take it
Take
in.
it. I'm sending it to you.
I love it. Thank you, Christine. So
You're welcome.
how can moms, how can entrepreneurs, anyone who's watching
Uh-huh.
that might be thinking about starting their own business or are kind of in that like vibration state where it's like, I don't know where to go, or they're really growing. They all could come
Yeah.
to you, right? But
Yeah.
how can they get in contact with you and how can they get to know you more?
Sure. Well, you can find me on my website at christineparma.com. And I'm also, I do a lot of Facebook Live trainings on my Facebook page, and that's at Christine Parma Fan is my business page. And I've started to do some from my personal profile, kind of the more mindset pieces. I'm trying to play by Facebook's rules of like business has to be on the business, right?
Yeah.
And that is that if Christine Parma Empower is my kind of personal profile there. But if you go to Christine Parma Fan, then you'll find the information you need. And just if you like my page, you'll get notified when I'm live. I'm actually going to be live. I go live, so thinking U.S. times, Monday nights and Thursday nights Eastern time. Right now with daylight savings, I had to change things. It's
Right. It's
around 9
different.
p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, I was like, daylight savings. That kind of like,
Oh
forgot about
no.
that.
It
Vietnam,
does
there is no
change
daylight.
things.
Right. So I'd love to have you join me over there. And if you go to my website or to my Facebook page, you will find a lot of freebies. So if you're in the phase of your business where you're wanting to get your work out there and you're starting to offer, you have offers out there and you want to know, run it through the 7 steps of what really creates an irresistible offer for your dream clients. You can download the cheat sheet at christinparma.com/offer-formula. And you can go through the steps, and you may be surprised when you look at some of your offers that you're like, oh, wait, I
That's
didn't
not
see that
it. Push
part.
it over here.
I didn't get that part. And if you always want more help, then you can always contact me and we'll chat about it and see how I can support you in your journey as being an awesome mom and an amazing entrepreneur too.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your work and your, just being open and raw about the pancakes. And, that's what helps everyone. Yeah.
I haven't made pancakes since that day yet. I've
done
cut
you off.
Not pancakes.
You get to make eggs. You're on eggs.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, thanks so much, Christine. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mara.